Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling. And man, I really appreciate you guys coming by the channel and spending some time with me. And guys, got a cool video for y'all today. We're going to be talking about a study that was conducted, I believe it was on Bugs Island Lake in North Carolina, where some fisheries biologists, they caught 6 largemouth bass and they tagged them and tracked them for a year and then monitored their movements. Guys, I found this fascinating. I'm going to share it with you guys today and then sort of give you some commentary overall and my opinion on all this. So we're going to get into that in today's episode. Also, guys, before we get started, just a couple quick things. Just like to invite everybody to please consider hitting that subscribe button here at Intuitive Angling if you haven't. Free and easy to do so. Also, guys, you can book an on-the-water lesson with me by going to my Facebook page, Randy Blaukat Professional Angler. Just shoot me a private message there. And finally, guys, big thank you for me and my family, for everybody that's been using and bookmarking all my links I put in my video description, like my Tackle Warehouse link. Guys, those links are what keeps this channel on YouTube. So if you like the content here and you want to see the channel to continue by using those links, that's what makes it all possible. So I really appreciate that, guys. Okay, you hear all types of studies on bass behavior, all what they have, what they go through and everything. And a lot of this, like I said, I don't think it's like one study fits all. I think that bass are like humans in a lot of ways. A lot of them have different personalities, different behaviors. So you sort of have to take that with a grain of salt when you hear about them. But I was really fascinated by this one study I want to tell you guys about these biologists that caught 6 bass, tagged them all the same day, caught them, tagged them, released them, followed them for the course of a year. Okay, here's what happened on this particular thing after the course of the year went by. Both these fish, I think they ranged, I think the smallest one was 2 pounds and the biggest one was like 5 pounds. Then all of them were between 2 to 5 pounders. And like I said, I'm pretty sure it was Bugs Island if I remember correctly. But anyway, what happened during the course of this, after they followed these bass for a year, they tracked them where they were throughout the year and what they were doing and how they were moving. 2 of the bass, and they released all these fish in the same spot. 2 of the bass that they tagged swam like, I don't know, less than 300 or 400 yards away from the place where they released, and they lived around there for an entire year. One of them, there was like a big laydown tree in the water. One of them hung out around that laydown tree, and occasionally it would wander off like 100 yards away or something to feed. And there was another one that was on a log down the bank somewhere, and they sort of used that log and that laydown tree as their ambush point or their home. And they roamed but a short distance. They roamed like less than 300 or 400 or 500 yards away from those shallow water objects on 2 of those fish. The other 2, there's 2 other fish that they followed, and they migrated anywhere between, they ranged anywhere between like, say, 7 to 10 miles away from the release spot, and they used a variety of different cover. It's just like they had like a 3-mile range, and they would be up on the bank one time, and then they'd pull out to 8 or 10 foot of water, and they moved around a lot. But they stayed in this range of 7 to 10 miles away from the release area. And there's 2 more bass. One of them swam something like 40 some miles away from the place that they released, way up on the other end of the lake, and the other one swam like 30 some miles away from it. In other words, one of the bass swam from like one end of the lake to the upper extremity of the other part of the lake, and just did the same thing, sort of used the available cover that was up there, but they swam a long way away. Okay, and I found this fascinating because it sort of like reiterates what I talk about a lot in bass fishing, about bass. They have unique personalities to themselves, and they're individuals. And this study is a prime example that reaffirms that, in the terms that when you're talking about bass and you're talking about bass movement and bass behavior, you can't lump the fish up and say these fish are doing this right now, or the bass have moved here, or the bass are doing this. Bass are, for the most part, they are individuals. There are some school fish, but I even think that schooling activity, I don't think that's something permanent. And nobody has done a study to really verify this, but say, for example, in the post-spawn time of the year, when you have some bass schooling up on river ledges, or maybe you have bass that are roaming out in open water chasing shad. I don't know if those fish stay out there in that group environment all the time. I think they break up, and I think they disperse, and I think they come together at times. It's just all over the board. There's no way that you can possibly predict, where or when a bass is going to be somewhere. And it's sort of one of those things that we just don't give them credit enough for their individuality. Now, this is something, when you're talking about the bass movement behavior like this is one of the most comforting, fascinating things that I find in bass fishing, because it's still it's another affirmation of the mysterious, magical nature of a bass, as far as having their mind of their own and a personality of their own. I'll give you guys a prime example of what I'm talking about. It's like, I don't know how many times, like in the springtime of the year, I've been fishing down a bank and I'll see bass cruising down the bank and in clear water. Now, a lot of times I'll take a wacky rig or something and I see this bass swimming down the lake, and I can see it coming in a direction, and I'll throw up ahead of it, maybe 5 or 10 feet. And sometimes a bass, as soon as that bait hits the water, they will dart over to that thing as fast as they can and gobble it up. The next bass, you'll see another bass swimming down there, and this could be on the same day or even in the same cove I'm talking about. You'll see another bass swimming down through there, and you throw that wacky worm in front of it, and they will dart off like they are scared to death of it. They'll dart off in the other direction 100 miles an hour. And then some bass, you'll throw that wacky worm over there, and they'll swim right back. They'll swim just, right past it like it wasn't even there. So what is it that makes one bass, on the same day, what is it that makes one bass super aggressive, another one super wary, and another one just doesn't care? Again, it's about the fact that bass have personalities unique to themselves. And I've always said, guys, we don't give bass enough credit for being smart. I think bass are highly intelligent creatures, but like with any other creature on this planet, you can't equate human intelligence with the innate intelligence of other creatures on this planet, because a bass and every other creature on this planet has innate survival skills that make us look stupid. It's like, think about animals in nature, how they're able to survive. They're able to go out and live, and if it's 0 degrees out, they can feed at night in 0-degree weather. They have survival abilities that make us look pathetic. So every creature on this planet, deserves respect. It has its own intelligence that needs to be respected, and a bass is no different from that. So I guess the big picture of this, guys, is when you're bass fishing, you just have to stay open-minded with it. You just have to realize that, everything that you do may or may not appeal to certain fish. Stop sort of putting everything like one shoe fits all in the sport, and just, like I said, stay open-minded, use your creativity, use your ingenuity. That's the way that you learn how to, new techniques and how to catch fish better than somebody else. So anyway, guys, hope everybody's well. We'll talk later.